awesome.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
You guys are awesome.
No,
You're awesome.
no,
You are awesome.
sir. You are awesome. Seriously.
Awesome. Awesome.
Awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Welcome to this week's edition of Everything is Awesome. I'm your host, Kev, and this is the show where we sit down and talk to awesome people about awesome things. Before we get to this week's guest, I just have a little bit of housekeeping to get to. Three big things that I want to announce right now, or remind you of, before we get to our returning guests, part two of our conversation with the boys from Tattooed Bananas. We have a new podcast debuting. That's right. I'm really reluctant these days to start hopping on and joining other permanent podcasts or creating permanent podcasts, because I did that before and it took a lot of my time from me. So I'm really careful about that. You'll notice that our Looking for RPG podcast has only had that one episode. That's coming back still, I guarantee it. But that's on hold. The D&D podcast is on hold. Mike and I, the co-founder of That's Entertainment and Crudimer Studios, we've decided to bring a new podcast, something that we think is missing from the world. It is called Late to the Game of Thrones. That's right, we're doing a Game of Thrones recap show. This is our bread and butter. When Mike and I sat down and did That's Entertainment, we really just did recaps of other shows on television. And, I didn't want to just be another Game of Thrones recap podcast. There had to be a hook, and the hook was quite obvious for me. I have never watched Game of Thrones before, so that's the point of the show. Is Mike is the seasoned fan. He's been watching it for the last 6 years. I just watched the first episode, so yes, winter is coming to That's Entertainment. Late to the Game of Thrones debuts August 1st, 2016, probably, sometime between midnight and 3 p.m. it will be up. We're getting some theme songs finalized, some imagery finalized, but it's all coming together. We got the first episode recorded, and I'm really excited about it because it's giving me an excuse to watch Game of Thrones now, is quite honest to think. So make sure you tune in August 1st for my new podcast with Mike D'Angelo called Late to the Game of Thrones. Also, just want to remind everybody, August 21st, 2 p.m., I will be performing live for the Philadelphia Podcast Festival with this very show, Everything is Awesome, at Tattooed Moms on South Street. I just visited Tattooed Moms on South Street this past weekend, not even weekend, on Monday. I went there Monday after work to just get a visual idea of what the place is set up with, and it's like a neat little spot. Like, if you're not from the Philly area and you're going to be in the Philly area, come on down, hang out. The podcast kicks off Friday night at 6 p.m. at Amaglam, at a comic store. Go to phillypodfest.com. I can't say that word at all. But Comics and Coffee House, it kicks off with Party of One podcast, friend of the show, at 6 p.m. Friday night, August 19th, at the comic book shop. It goes all weekend long. It goes the next weekend as well. Let's focus on the first weekend right now, because that's when we go on. We go on Sunday at 2 p.m. It's going to be a fun time. We have some great, plans. I will be hosting the show. We are going to have Mike D'Angelo there as my sidekick. He's going to be there to help me out, make sure we stay on pace for the show. Garrett Smith, we've already announced, is going to be there to do some stand-up for us. And to one more thing I'm going to give away each week. I'm going to give a little tidbit. We're going to be playing some trivia. I played trivia for something else. It was a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing some trivia, handing out some prizes. I got some stuff that I don't really need anymore from Loot Crate. I got some stuff, Everything is Awesome swag. Mike's got some stuff from Tellus. We're just going to, and anyone out there that has swag that they want to give away, I'll give it away during the trivia game. We're going to give away some prizes. It's going to be a good time. So I hope you come out to Tattooed Moms August 21st, 2016 at 2 p.m. Eastern Time if you're in the Philly area. I'd love to have you. I'll be there all day. I'm going to get there whenever, I think around probably 12:30, right before the fest kicks off for the day. And I'll be there hanging out all through the night because there's shows I want to see all day long. And one final thing before we get to the boys from Tattooed Bananas. It's been a long time coming, but we finally have a way for you to support this show. That's more than just reviews and stuff. And it's entirely optional. This show, as you know it, will always be free. But if you go to patreon.com/awesomepodcast, that's patreon.com/awesomepodcast, patreon.com/awesomepodcast. It's a way that you can help support us. We put a lot of money out for this podcast and for everything else we do. To just function, to get it out there. And I do it out of pocket because I just love sitting down and talking to people. But any kind of support you're willing to give, like we have goals that we want to meet that are, things as simple as covering hosting fees so that we can put that money towards more content or better ways to do this show or better ways to book guests or whatever it may be. We have nice rewards, so it's not you just donating money. It is a pledge. You're pledging money. It's like an ongoing Kickstarter. You can pledge some money and you get something. You'll get something for that. And even if you don't select a reward level, like all that, every dollar that comes into us from patreon.com/awesomepodcast is not going to be for a way for me or anyone else to get a paycheck. It's going to be for a way to make the show better, to improve upon the show. Every dollar that I get after fees will go into this podcast. It won't go into other podcasts. Every dollar is for Everything is Awesome. So if you're willing to support, I'd love to have you along for the ride. Other ways you can support the show, as always, is telling a friend, or just subscribing on iTunes, and even more importantly, leaving that 5-star review. It gets us in front of more eyes. The more eyes that see the show, the more chance that we're going to have more people listening to us, and the better chance we can get cool, awesome people to talk to. I'd love for you guys to say, hey, I want you to talk to Shawn Michaels, get him on the show, and I can do it. And that happens. You guys have made it happen. You guys made it happen with Aaron McGathy, and you guys have made it happen with some other cool guests. But with your help, we can grow this thing into something bigger, where I can sit down and talk to more cool people. You can find out. I think our conversations are unique. I don't think they're conversations that you hear on other talk shows. I feel like it's more of two people talking and having a back and forth conversation versus an actual straight up Q&A interview. There's never really a purpose for people to promote anything. If they happen to have something to promote, then that's great. I encourage that, but that's not why I necessarily bring people onto the show. So as I said, you don't have to go to patreon.com/awesomepodcast to continue to enjoy this show. It will always be free, but I plan on doing bonus things, and exclusive content through Patreon on top of all the other rewards. So if you have time, please check it out. I will be eternally grateful for that. Words cannot describe my gratefulness of you helping me do a dream of mine, which is just sitting around talking to interesting, cool people in a format that I love. All right, I've babbled on long enough. It's been going on for almost 10 minutes now. Let's get on to the show. We're going to continue our conversation with Phineas and Bill from Tattooed Bananas on their 50-state podcast tour right here on awesomepodcast.com.
And when we were growing up, Bill, do you remember that basketball hoop that we had nailed to that tree and we put a mini trampoline in front of it?
Uh-huh.
And just dunked the shit out of it? That was so good.
At home, I don't know. I begged for a basketball net, got one, and there, as a kid, I mean, we're probably talking 20 years ago at this point, when I would want one. So 12 years old, and they had to be expensive back then. They had to be. I think they're expensive now, so I can only imagine they were $1,000 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got it, played it for 2 months, if that, and would just randomly I think every kid gets one with the intentions to play it with it all day long, and then it's just a lawn ornament at that point.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's usually what I see in my neighborhood. Like, there's got to be, like, when I drive out, there's got to be like a dozen basketball hoops, and I rarely see kids playing with it, even like when I'm, coming home later in the day. Like, there's nobody outside,
You're not allowed to play with it outside. You got to go outside to play with it.
Oh, man. Could you imagine, like, a full-size basketball hoop in your house?
Oh, it would be so tight.
I
would be.
hope to be that stupid rich one day where I can have that much money to say, you know what? Let's just drop some money on an indoor basketball court that's not going to get used.
I'm going to send you a picture next week, Kev, because my wife and I are going to house sit for friends of ours, and they have an indoor basketball court.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. No joke. And it's amazing. And they have, like, an arsenal of Nerf weapons. So, like, whenever we go over there, I just have a Nerf war with their children.
Wait, are they the ones that delivered their children in the kitchen?
No, thankfully they're not.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So, did you, when you guys were kids, did you play like Nerf wars?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Every kid did. We called it gotcha. Me and my group of friends. I don't know why, but I had my weapon of choice was and it's a shame that Nerf doesn't make these anymore because I have a collection of Nerf guns now and they're just all dumb. Like they're just all variations of the same thing.
Yeah.
But back in the day, they were cool. Like I had the Mana Ray, which was a shield.
Oh yeah. It was like a crossbow, right?
It was. I guess that's the closest thing you could equate it to. It hooked to your arm, so you could hold it in front of you like Captain America's shield, but then you could hold it out and pull the trigger and fire darts. And I guess a crossbow would be the closest thing to describe it as.
Yeah.
So we played at the local park. We would play on a daily basis, I assume, or at least every weekend. And we would split up into teams, and we were like our team A, team B, and it was like we planned things. We drew maps and shit.
Nice. Yes.
And here's the best part, and this is either fantastic or pathetic. We were playing like I guess it was cold enough to be, like the water could be frozen, but it wasn't cold enough to be snowing because there was no snow on the ground. And kids that live in the north, in like the Philadelphia, Jersey area, like it used to snow all the time, not just in like February and March.
Oh yeah. I remember there was actually snow in December.
Yeah.
Vaguely remember that.
So back in the day, like September, this is probably happening in September or October. Like it would be cold enough to not snow, but for water to like kind of freeze over. And where we played, there was a little creek, and I don't know what the circumstance was, but my friends stepped on it and his leg fell in.
Oh God!
Nice.
Okay, so it was cold water, but the action we determined was the best thing to do was one of our friend's little brothers ran away crying. Me and my friends had to be like, we were double digits at least. Like I think we had to be 10 at youngest. Which means the little brother was, I don't know, he was probably 7 or 8. So I'll let that go. Him going home crying.
Yeah, that's about
one
the
in
time.
every
Yeah.
group, you know.
But we decided. I think I took my jacket and wrapped his leg.
Did you really?
Yeah, and it gets worse. And all it was wet and cold. But then me and my other buddy picked him up and put his arms over our shoulders, and he like lifted like he had a broken ankle. That's how we were walking him.
Oh, that's incredible.
Oh my God. That story has super friends of Everything is Awesome. That's the first time you've heard this story.
Nice.
How has not come up when I had my best, it was my best friend that it happened to. How that didn't come up on a show already, I don't know. But yes, that's a thing that happened in our Nerf wars as children.
That's so good. Well, I remember when we used to do Nerf wars. Bill, did you ever go to Brian Kohler's birthday parties when we used to do Nerf wars in his basement, and then we used to turn the lights off?
Yeah, I remember his, and Tim Urban always had dope birthday parties too.
He did. And then we'd run out of ammo, and we'd just end up clubbing each other with the Nerf weapons.
Yeah.
And it was just like a free-for-all.
Oh,
it was like
so
a total brawl.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they were awesome.
And what I love is that I don't see other kids doing it in the neighborhood, but and I guess really my kid doesn't go outside to do it because I'm anal about him losing all the darts, which I guess just I'm officially old and lame now. but like we bought Nerf guns specifically. He's 4.5 years old, 2 years ago, so that we could have Nerf gun fights. And like I'm just waiting. Like we do have Nerf gun fights around the house, but I'm just waiting for the age where he's like, "Listen, old man, we're going outside to do it. Let's do it the right way." And I'll be down. Like I can't wait.
Right?
But it's a shame because like they're all lame guns now. Like I guess like for some kids they're cool where like, oh, this clip has like 16 bullets, or this one can auto fire 8 bullets or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like, and the only thing that sticks out of my mind is the Manta Ray. But there was like all those types of Nerf guns back in the day where it was just weird, cool designs.
Yeah, it was. Like hopefully they come out with something where it's just like ball bearings,
Oh,
you
I
know,
hope
like
so.
something where it can really do some damage.
Yeah, I mean that's when I just get my kid a BB gun.
There you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
no goggles, just aim for the eyes.
2 pump.
Hey, so you were talking about Kevin Smith a lot. So where I live in New Jersey, my wife works in Red Bank, where the
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan.
Yep. Yeah, so I was just gonna say, she drives past the store every day when she comes home from work.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
if you ever want to come out this way, we'll do a tour of the
Yeah.
comic book store.
Well, I've definitely. So I'd say the first time I went out there was, God, it has to be probably more than 10 years ago. I think we were driving. I was able to drive, so I was at least 16, and I don't know if I was still in high school. So we'll say between 16 and 18, and we went out there, me and 2 buddies, and like we made it. I don't know why I'm saying a road trip, but it was totally not a road trip because we literally went from I live in Levittown, Pennsylvania, and have lived in this area in the like 15-mile radius my whole life. So we went from this area to Red Bank, New Jersey, and back. Didn't stop anywhere in between. Not that I think there's many places to stop in between.
Right.
And all we did up there was go to the comic book store. And then I went back I think I've only been there twice. And the second time I went with my buddy Garrett, who for listeners of this show you know as our first ever guest, and he's also the host of I Like to Movie, the podcast, and he's the guy that I did Monday Pod with, and we converted that to Academic Nerds to not be assholes, and we went out to his store the first year that Comic Book Men was a thing.
Okay.
And originally, I think they were calling it Fanboys at the time. This is prior to season 1. And they were interviewing a bunch of people. And they were going to hire someone else to work the counter with them. They felt like I don't know. Do you guys watch Comic Book Men? Well, okay, Phineas, do you watch Comic Book Men?
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I
I'm just assuming
don't
Bill.
either. No.
Okay, yeah, I was just assuming. You
don't-
sound like a guy who doesn't watch much pop culture
I
stuff.
don't know what that even is. I picture it like a bin filled with comics, but I don't know.
That's exactly right.
All right.
That's
Yeah, I nailed it. Yes.
Got it again. 3 for 3. Oh yeah, there it is.
Comic Book Men, so it's just like his friends that run. It's Walt Flanagan who runs the store.
That's a fake name.
No, that's his real name. Walt Flanagan is his real name.
That's so good. That's like Phineas Throckmorton. That's a fake name.
Is that your real name?
No, God, no.
Okay. Is Phineas your real name?
No.
Oh, fuck. Dude.
It's awesome.
You're ruining it.
But everybody knows that.
Yeah, it's a pseudo name.
What's your real name? Can we say what your real name is?
Sure. Yeah, my real name's Zach.
What? Wait, okay. We're gonna put Comic Book Men over here for a second. Is Phineas the middle name?
No, God, no.
Where do you
I
get
don't-
Phineas?
I don't know. I was thinking, well, all right, so there's a, I don't know if you ever went to any shows like out in Jersey, but the Birch Hill nightclub used to be like over by Throckmorton Lane. And I was thinking one day, I was like, oh, and this was way before Bill and I ever started the show. I was like, if I ever wrote a book, I was like, I'd want my pseudonym, the last name, to be Throckmorton. And I was like, what would the first name be? And I'm like, oh, Phineas. Yeah, Phineas Throckmorton. That's perfect. It just rolls off the tongue. So when we were deciding whether or not we were going to use, real names for this, I was like, I got my name for the show. So, and that's how it's been.
And Bill, is that your real name or no?
No, it's not. No.
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
Look at this, peeling back the curtain. Things are getting crazy.
This is what Oz looks like.
There's his pop culture reference.
Well,
Oz.
And yeah, that's a good pull. And I mean, I could Bill. How you pronounce your fake last name?
Oddwad.
Ottawa. Okay, so like that looks like a real name to me, simply because like I mean any last name can look like a last name, and Bill is Bill. Phineas, I took that as a real name because not because of Phineas and Ferb, because like my fiance and I, we've decided that like if we have another boy, we're gonna name him Finnegan.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a solid name.
Which is, very close to Phineas. I was like, oh, that's got to be a real name. Like people name their kids Finnegan. So
Well,
why
all
not
right.
Phineas?
So I did a show this morning called The Scared Podcast, where I talked about this haunted battlefield story that I had from college. And the guy that I was talking to, his name is Phil, and he gets on there and he's like, all right, Phineas. He's like, what's? And he's from the UK. I won't try to do an accent because it won't sound good.
No, do it.
Okay, fair enough.
He said, "You want me to do it?"
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
He's like, "All right, Phineas, we're going to talk about your story today, and is Phineas your real name?" And I said, "No, it's not. It's a made up silly name that I have for the show." And he goes, "Well, my real name is Phineas," and I'm like,
You should be like, my real name is Phil.
"That's cool. Yeah, my name is dumb too, and my name is Phil."
Yeah.
But he was really cool, so either he didn't care or he was just messing with me. I'm not sure either way. So.
Right.
So did that UK show come out of your 50 state tour?
No, I was just responding to a tweet where they said that, if anybody has any like weird paranormal stuff, the episode's up right now. So if you guys want to go listen to it, it's there. So
Yeah, we'll probably get 2 parts out of this. I don't know. I derail the show all the time.
that's okay. That's what we do too. There's no reason to worry about it because
But
that's what we do to each other. Usually, you'll hear it when you listen to our show because usually when I bring up something, Bill decides he's going to undercut me and talk about something completely different.
Right. Yeah.
And he does that constantly. And I know, God, I know he's just fucking with me all the time. But it makes me giggle.
I love that, like that kind of dynamic. Like I love when there's something about somebody that like whether it's a bit or not, like it turns into a bit. Like I something that I desperately want to do, but I think in the long run it would mean that I don't get booked on many shows. I want to be the guy that like, I come in as a guest, but I just overtake the show and interview them.
Nice.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I think that's hilarious. But I feel like after like 1 or 2 guest spots, people catch on and say, listen, if you're going to do that, we're not going to book
Right.
you.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say, I'm sitting out on my porch and I have these nice wooden benches out here. I've probably farted like 4 or 5 times, and I was hoping that somebody was going to notice, but nobody said anything. So that was my attempt at trying to undercut things, but nobody noticed.
I heard something sounded like a couple shoes dropping.
No, I'm this Zencaster program that we use. It does a good job of cutting a lot of that nonsense. Like there's a fart filter.
No, there's not.
No way.
No, there's not.
Oh.
We can't use it.
No, you can't use it.
Yeah.
You have to use the smell filter.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. All right, so man, I don't like you. So I love the fact that like my show is usually predicated on the fact that like there's something that you guys. So you guys had no passion for a podcast or broadcasting before you said, "Hey, let's just do it."
No, not really. I mean, we knew about it just in general, but there wasn't anything that like inspired us. Like there wasn't a specific show that we both listened to, or any personality that we found intriguing enough to do our own thing. We just wanted to talk to each other and put it out there for people to listen to. So
Yeah,
Well,
it's weird for me because I'm more like introverted, and the thought of doing this terrifies me to death. So I just do it, and I try not to think about it, like when I'm actually recording it. And then once it's recorded, I don't care. But just like the thought of recording my thoughts and stuff, it's just weird.
Well, and you guys haven't done a live show yet, right?
Right.
no, not yet. But I'm excited for it.
So you're excited. Phineas is excited for it, but Bill is terrified of it. Has to be, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like I don't know. It's like two sides fighting. It's like I'm petrified of it, but at the same time, it's like probably once you start doing it, it's like fine. But man,
yeah.
it's just scary as shit.
Well, and so I've done one live show aside, like before. Like I've done one live show in my entire podcasting
Did
career,
you crap
and that
yourself or not?
So here's how I coped, and this was it was almost 9 years ago. It was I think around October of 2007 that we did the live show, and it was helpful because we were more of an MC for the event. And it was me and three other guys. So it was like a 4-person podcast that was MCing the event. Basically, it was.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I mean, the great thing about a podcast is that you're like, and even this show that I'm normally by myself talking to other people. When I go live, and I guess. I think I've made the announcement, and I mean, if I haven't, I'm going to announce it now since it's airing today. I'm going to have kind of a co-host for the live show to help. I never really thought of it as helping to alleviate that being on stage, feeling the butterflies, the being scared or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that totally helps. Having someone else there. The whole reason that I am more interested in doing improv than doing stand-up comedy is that there's someone else there, or there's a group of people there. So you have other people to fall back on. You can kind of push everyone out and just focus on like your group. But yeah, I mean, we did it last time we did a live show. It was like an MCing event. So we literally did like kind of the reverse of the podcast, where it was like we did 15-minute segments with 5-minute commercials. The bands played for 10, 15 minutes, and then we were that 5-minute commercial. So it was a really low pressure. We did a habanero eating pepper contest. Made a guy puke. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
Though he's the guy that won. So give it. I mean, and he waited a solid half hour before puking. So I'll give him the crown still.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah. Well, so 9 years ago. I was, I guess, I'm 32 now, so I was, 23, whatever. I was like a guy who was like, I ate habanero peppers just to prove that I could. I would never do it now. Like, that's an idiot that does that.
Right.
But, yeah, I think I had the record of 5.
Whoa.
So I, as part of the live show, I said, all right, we're going to have a habanero pepper eating contest. Any takers? And not only one person said, I'll challenge you. And that was a guy from a band that was playing that night. And I stopped at 5 because that was literally my limit before I felt like I was going to die. And he went to
reasonable.
6.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
Yeah, they're not fun to eat at all.
I can't imagine.
The first, I got my crown by doing it at a friend's house, and I think I ate 5. And he offered me, remember Holiday Spice Pepsi?
Yeah.
That's what he gave me to quench my thirst.
Oh, what a dick.
Followed by a bottle of Pepto.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, my brother-in-law grew ghost peppers, and he made a like salsa out of them, and I didn't touch it. So
No.
I don't know what that would have been like.
I don't mind spicy food, but like I'm not a pepper fan. Like I hate peppers. I don't even know how and it's not like I don't like the taste. I don't like the texture of a pepper. So I don't know how I ate habanero peppers without like puking based off texture. Or maybe I'm just at 32. I've become a pussy. Like I have no idea what it is. Like the thought of doing it. Like I thought about doing that as a bit for the Philadelphia Podcast Fest, but I can't bring myself to do it. And I mean, because of the we're doing the show at 2 p.m. I don't know if A, anyone is willing to do it, and B, I don't know if I want to subject anyone to doing it at 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah, that seems
You should. You should make people do it because that's the perfect time for it.
Listen, it's a free show, but to get in, you gotta eat this habanero. You gotta eat 5 habanero peppers.
I saw my wife and I went to a wing eating contest. I think it was down in the Philly area. It was like down on the waterfront.
Was it
And,
Wing Bowl?
It might have been. No, I had a friend go to that, and we saw a dude throw up mid-contest and continue, which was incredible. Yeah, like he threw up a little bit in his bucket, which was awesome.
Oh God, I fell in love with the show. Do you remember Man vs. Food?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I fell in love with that show. Like there was a period of time where I just wanted to watch food shows for some reason. Probably because I'm fat and I like to eat food.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Food's good.
And that show, like,
Food's good.
I like food.
so I used to also have a fake radio podcast name. And like you guys know I think we communicated on my personal Twitter, which is at HHWST, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that stands for Happy Hour with Steel Tip, which was the original podcast I did was called Happy Hour with Steel Tip. I used to wrestle like WWE style wrestling, and my name, my gimmick was Steel Tip, and I carried that over into broadcasting. And I used to do this in one of the incarnations of my show. I did this thing called Steel Tip versus Food.
Oh, awesome.
I think it lasted for 1 week because we did the challenge of like someone said, "I dare you to eat a box of mashed potatoes."
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Like before cooking them.
Yeah, no, cooking them. Like they were
Oh,
cooked.
okay.
They
Oh,
were
all right.
cooked. I feel like I could probably eat a box of uncooked mashed potatoes. But a box of cooked mashed potatoes, I think it was a pound of mashed potatoes, which in a box looks really small.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's
But when you cook it, it's it's outrageous how much it is. I'm Irish, so I love potatoes. I did not eat if I did eat potatoes after that, but when I did, I literally would take a bite of like a spoonful of potatoes and feel like I was gonna puke, and then just push the bowl or whatever away, because I think I ate half a pound is what I got through. So I failed that mission, and it's just so. I wasn't allowed to use gravy. I think that was the issue.
oh yeah, that's
So it was
torture.
literally a dry pound of mashed potatoes. And it was the worst thing you know what? The only other thing I did for Steel Tip versus Food was, I guess it's Wings to Go has nuclear wings, and
Okay.
I did that, but I won that one. Like that one was pretty. It was hot, but it wasn't as bad as habanero peppers at all.
Really?
No, yeah, I don't know what they use for nuclear, but it wasn't. I mean, I'd rather eat that than a habanero pepper.
Oh man. Would you do another eating contest now?
Eating contest? I mean, I would definitely consider it. I don't know. I don't think I could do a pepper one for sure. Like
What
that
would
one,
you do?
I almost think. I mean, I don't want to say anything's on the table because I'm sure, based off the hour and 20 minutes we've been talking, I'm sure you guys would come up with something ridiculous. But
I got a good one.
I think I'd be open. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. What is it?
What do you got, Bill?
Well, we were kicking around this idea of a Philadelphia experiment.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think
Well,
I'm on board so far.
Well, we went on the Secret Transmission podcast and we talked Philadelphia experiment.
But we had our own
And-
idea for where to take this.
Yeah, we should get Kevin on
Yeah,
this.
he probably knows some spots.
I maybe I might. Let's hear it. Let's unless this isn't for public ears.
No, we could. I think we can talk about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's breaking
Let's
news.
talk about it.
Yeah.
All right. Breaking news. Philadelphia experiment. Late breaking news.
We're just gonna eat a bunch of Philadelphia cheesesteaks and see which one's the best.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yes.
I will. Let's do it as your podcast, and I'll guest on your podcast while we do it.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we could try to fit this in for Philly Podfest.
I don't know if you can. Okay, this is probably not something to talk about on air, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get in for this year, but we can.
Well, that's okay.
Totally hold off on this idea until next year.
Well, we went to the Asbury Park Podfest because our friends from Ice in the Face did a show. They won a contest and they got in to do like the Sunday morning one. So we went down there to give a little support, and we really wanted to get on it. And we messaged the dude who was putting it together, but we just recorded an episode from Bill's van with some other guys. What was it? The Super Live Adventure Show?
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Those guys were awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just recorded one on the street from
That's
his
fantastic.
from his camper van. So
So-
maybe we could do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, if you could if you or we could find a venue in Philly that's not like what's already on the list. Tattooed Moms is all booked up. Like, I don't think they do shows past 7 because that's when people come in to drink.
Yeah.
And then the other place, the comic book store, is like just that. I think it's Friday and Saturday the first weekend, and that's it. So we could either find another. I mean, I guess it would make sense to do it from a van if we're traveling from spot to spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. We'll just have a mobile pod.
Yeah.
Okay, so I used to be the co-host of a show called The Stabcast. And this show, it was probably the most successful show I was ever part of. Like, we had like thousands upon thousands of people watching us live every week. And there was like, I come from a world where like, if you get 500 downloads in a month, that's like really good. And if you get more than that, like that's amazing. Like I keep my level, like I don't have high expectations. I don't really even look at numbers anymore because I don't care.
Right.
What was your quote today, Bill? What was it?
Hope for the best, expect zeros.
Yeah. And I mean, I know, like I don't expect zeros. I expect like 3, like me and my guest and like someone from their family. Like
Nice.
that's my expectation, is 3 people downloading the show. I don't know if they're listening, but downloading.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
And I mean, I do have something on the website that tells me the number, but I try not to look at it unless like I really either want to feel good about myself or bad. And luckily, like I usually check it once a month, and the last 2-3 months, like I've been happy with the results.
Nice.
Has nothing to do with this. I was on this show, The Stabcast. It started off as a 5-week contract. Like that's how serious this show was. It was like I signed a contract for 5 weeks.
Wow.
And then it extended for another 5 weeks, and then extended for another 5 weeks, and eventually it turned into like there was and I think the show has finally stopped. There was an era after me for like a year or two that stopped. That went on, and then it stopped like November of last year. But there was the steel tip era of that show. Like I helped define 2 years of that show, and when we hit a milestone, and it was either episode 100 or 150, we had the idea of taking it mobile, and it just never took off. Like it never happened, and I think. Because this is going back to like my early days of podcasting, so I think probably like 7 years ago is when I was part of this show, and it like mobile podcasting, either A, like we didn't know what the hell we were doing, or B, I don't think it was a thing that long ago.
Right.
Like I guess the iPhone maybe was just like a thing 7 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So like and I like. I mean, hell, and going back to one of our original discussions of like, if you want to do a podcast, do it. Like, I happen to be talking on and this isn't expensive at all, but I happen to be talking on a $70 Blue Snowball mic right now. So it can, and that's how I do remote shows is through this mic and then through my laptop. So it's the cheaper way to do a show.
Yeah.
I have a more expensive way that I do it through all my other equipment. I'm sure you guys have your way. Maybe we'll actually get into some protocol of how you guys record a show in a little bit. But you know, I have used a Apple headphone set with the built-in mic and this app called Voice Recorder Pro 7 to record high-quality audio on my phone for commercial breaks.
Oh, that's cool.
And
awesome.
it sounds probably as good as going through our Radio Shack microphone. I don't think it sounds much worse than what I'm talking through right now. And that says something. And you can get adapters for like any USB microphone really to work through a phone these days. So like doing a mobile podcast or even doing like just to do a podcast, there's really no excuse. Like if people are out there that are on the fence about doing a podcast, there's no excuse not to even at least record something. Whether you publish it or not is another story. But to record now and get good quality, it's possible.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, Bill's got a nice mic. What's the one you have?
Oh yeah. My wife got it for me. It's like a Rode podcasting mic. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That's the one we did from the van, right? That one worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I just plugged it into my laptop and just recorded it all through Audacity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is like no reason these days that you can't do it. So yeah, totally. I'm down for whenever you guys want to do like the Philly challenge.
Yes.
Let me know. I will totally be part of it. I know. I mean, obviously there's Pat's, there's Gino's, there's Tony Luke's, which I've never had Tony Luke's.
Oh, it's good.
I've heard that it's good.
I had it in Atlantic City. My wife and I went down there for a weekend, and it was super good.
I think to qualify for the Philly challenge, I think the original Tony Luke's, and I could be totally wrong. I'm from the suburbs, so I'm a fake Philadelphia guy. But and that's fake with a PH. You can. I think the original Tony Luke's is by like the stadium complex.
Okay.
On Broad Street, maybe. But I've had Pat's, I've had Gino's. I will reserve my judgment until we do your show.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
And another good one. I think there's a Philly location, but for sure in the suburbs of Philly, there's this place called Steve's, and I think they have one that's actually in the Philadelphia city limits as well. But he's called Steve's, the Prince of cheesesteaks or something like that. That's a good one, and that's the one I usually go to because it's like 5 minutes away from my house. But they're the four that right off. Like I know 4 places that we can go to right off the bat. I don't know how many we need, but I got 4.
Well, that's the thing. Are we going for are we going for a tour of Philly cheesesteaks?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Or are we going to go to one spot and eat as many as we can, kind of
Oh,
like the grease trucks at Rutgers?
No. I think I don't want to eat a lot all at once. I can't do that. I don't have that kind of body.
So maybe we and this may work out. Like I think what we try to do is maybe we get a 4th person on.
Okay.
That way we can go to we can go to Pat's and get 2 cheesesteaks. That way we split it because we're going to eat a lot of cheesesteaks that day.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
I think
true.
that's what we try to do. And I don't know. We have to check with him to see if he's willing to do it. But I think the perfect guy to do it is the host of Full Belly Laughs, Brian Durkin, because his podcast is where and I'm gonna butcher his catchphrase. I apologize, Brian. I think it's where food meets funny.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's. I mean, I think in the we ended up doing 2 episodes, and I think when I do 2 episodes, I tend to record a post production outro for episode 1 and a post production intro for episode 2 of that interview. And in one of them, I said this. I don't know how I'm not the host of that show because I love talking, I love podcasting, and I love food. I don't know how I missed out on this. Like that's
Right.
that's what I should have gone for. But yeah, no, totally. Like whenever you guys want to do it, let me know, and we'll try to schedule that out. I think that's a fantastic idea.
All right,
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, because I like the idea that you had, Bill, that we should do this. So yeah, it was fun talking to the kids from Secret Transmission. They're good people.
That podcast sounds familiar. They're based out of New York, you said?
No, they're in Texas.
Oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
they got us hooked up with the Royal WeCast. We just did a show with them, and they're in Taiwan. So
Man, I need to talk to you guys off air because I've been trying to do like a podcast tour myself.
yeah,
And not like a 50 state or world tour or anything. Like just
yeah,
to
don't
like
steal our idea. Don't be.
Yeah,
No.
come on, man.
I
thought
won't
we
do
were
a
friends.
50 state tour. I will do the 51 state tour, and I will go to Puerto
Going to
Rico.
Guam?
Oh
Let me go
man,
to- no. I won't go to Puerto Rico.
we'll go to American Samoa and really show us up. Well, the best part about this too, man, is that the first one that we technically did was the Random Chatterings podcast, and
Yeah.
this good dude Arlie, who lives in Ohio, and he misunderstood, which in the most wonderful way. He thought we were actually getting in a van and driving around the country, and he was totally on board with us coming to his house and recording a show with him.
He's so sweet.
So I don't know if he was disappointed or relieved that we didn't show up at this place that he lived in, but it was hilarious because, like, you know, like when Bill and I talk about this, like we've definitely done some driving around this great nation.
Oh, yeah.
But that would have been awesome to hop in the van. I don't know if our spouses or said children would be totally down
I
for
can go
it, but-
whenever. I'm ready to roll.
That would be such a fun if like that's something that like the podcast Kev of 9 years ago should have done 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I used to I used to travel for. It's such a shame that like I didn't have this idea 90 years ago.
Right.
You beat me to it, but like I used to travel for work, so that would have been a great idea. Like I've been to I think every original 13th colony state, and I think almost every state on the East Coast. I think I've been to half the country.
Nice.
Oh,
Is the
good.
official
That's
thing,
awesome.
and that would have been such. I mean, that was my tour. Was like an actual tour of the country. Like I at one point I kept a tally of where I've been. I've since lost that because I don't care.
Right.
There you go. I think looking, because I actually printed out like a coloring map of the United States so that way I could keep track of all the stuff. I think the only state that I haven't been to yet is North Dakota.
Oh wow! Like been to?
Yeah.
Oh, so why travel so much? Is it like for fun or was it work or what?
No, it was fun. Like I lived in Colorado for a little while, so or actually no, I'm sorry. The only two states I've been to are North Dakota and Texas. Every other
How have
place
you not been
I've
to Texas yet?
I know, and I really want to go. My wife and I always talk about it. Like, we'd love to go to
It's-
Austin and San Antonio and just kind of check out the cities.
Two fun facts about Texas. Too Cool for Tabletop is from I think I'm not going to say San Antonio, but from around they're close to San Antonio. And two, I'm not Philadelphia guy. So where at in Jersey are you guys? Are you like Philadelphia fans or are you New York fans?
New York fans.
We're
Okay,
Jets
so
fans,
you're-
so it's not that bad.
Okay, I mean you're still in the shitty part of Jersey, so. Okay, that's the perfect example of a Philadelphia fan and the story I'm about to tell. I used to travel for work, so the first time I had to go to Dallas, Texas, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wear my Eagles jersey, my Eagles hat. I'm going to, I'm just going to go there. I'm going to have a big grin on my face, and people are going to stare at me like, motherfucking asshole. This Philadelphia fan is here, this asshole. I went there. I stopped at a Dunkin' Donuts to get like a coffee and a donut or something, and I'm just smiling from ear to ear. And the guy was the nicest person I ever talked to in the entire world. And I suddenly realized that I'm the asshole.
It's weird. Like, it's weird going out of this area because everybody's super nice and you're thinking they're going to try to sell you something, and they're not. They're just generally nice people. That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy that literally, like, I used to think that the perception of Philadelphia was just made up. That like I take it as all fun and games, but we really are just assholes around here. I can't, like, there's no way someone from Dallas would fly to Philadelphia thinking, I'm gonna wear my Dallas shit to piss someone off. Like, that was my intention, was to piss someone else off, and like, not get into a physical fight, but like get into like
an altercation, maybe.
Yeah, like get into an like talk about how Romo's shitty and McNabb at the time was good, and it's just it. Hey, it did.
Do you push
I was
each other,
proven
or
wrong.
does it stop at the verbal?
I was hoping it would stop at verbal because I'm not a physical guy.
Right.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I have a buddy of mine. We did a cornhole tournament last year, and he's a huge Philly fan. And the last team that we played, all right, so this cornhole tournament had like an open bar. So by the end of the night, you were just absolutely plastered playing cornhole. And they did it inside like an indoor soccer facility. So one side was turf, and that thing was soaked in beer. And it was awesome. But huge Philly fan. The last people that we played against were Cowboy fans. And this guy lost his shit. Like, we ended up losing to them. And when we left, he was like, let's go find their cars. He's like, I got to let them know that that's not how Philly does. I'm like, whoa, dude, relax. Like, everything's cool. And I'm like, you Philly fans are nuts, bro.
Yeah, no, it's insane. Like, and I've never considered myself like that guy. But then I found out, however many years ago, that I was that guy. So I've definitely like changed my tune to where I try. Like, I will still like usually the people that I interact with that end up being Giants fans, because they're more common than I interact with being from this area, or even Redskins fans. Like, it's usually like it always is like a fun, friendly thing that comes from it, like friendly bets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I learned from that Dallas trip that I should not uphold the Philadelphia stereotype. Oh god. So let's talk. Let's go back to your podcast for a little bit. Let's
Sure.
So just from talking to you guys off air, I know you guys aren't necessarily 100% close to each other. How do you guys record? Do you guys do remote, or do you only record in person?
I would love it if we could only record in person. That would be the best way to do it. But unfortunately, it really is. And usually we end up just like trying to creep each other out too. But no, we usually just do it over Skype and just record through Audacity, and then Bill emails me his stuff, and then we throw it together, and it's good to go. But I think the what was it? Was it the dinner theater one?
Yeah,
that was probably one of the better episodes. That's one of your favorites, isn't it?
Yeah, that's probably my favorite. I feel like the more fun episodes are when we're in person, because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, and when you're in person, it's definitely like, timing is always better because you can see one another.
Right.
And I mean, there really is no B to that. You can see one another, so the chemistry is just better there versus like, the three of us can't see each other right now. So like, we don't know how to play off one another when we are going to say something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I've been trying to make a lot of sexual comments tonight to see if I can creep Bill out, and I don't know if it's working or not because I can't see his face.
Yeah, no, I've been thinking about Pikachu.
And usually I like to make the eyebrows at him too. So. But yeah, I think the dinner theater one was super fun because we just drank a bunch of beers and then we ate sushi while we were recording. So it's a lot of us chomping down on food.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it was really good. Those dragon rolls, man.
Those dumplings.
Oh yeah, the dumplings. Oh,
I love it. See, I love every time we talk about the podcast, you sell it more. Like, that is like the number one rule in broadcasting is you don't eat on radio. And I can't tell you how many times in the old days of me doing podcasts, like, I would be sitting there eating while we were broadcasting. And like, cause like, I love that kind, like, again, you guys, cause the one show I listened to that was real, like, like you guys, where it was just two friends sitting around talking. They stopped doing it after like 5 episodes.
It's a bummer.
I'm going to say it out here, right? Like, you're probably going to be a top tier podcast of mine because I love the concepts of it being like, hey, we're going to go out and eat. Like, I love shows like that where like we're not going to be in a studio. We're going to go somewhere and do it. Like, that's so cool to me.
Yeah, like sometimes we have really, really poor audio quality, but I feel like our content really makes up for it. So we don't really edit too much. We just throw up what we have. And like I said before, a lot of people seem to like it. A lot of people don't, but it's just so much fun to do it.
I love that that you said that, you know, our content is better than our quality at times, because that's been another thing. Like and now that it's like, after doing it for so many years, I try to have high quality as well. Like, I even have, like, I've recorded like a commercial or, you know, a pre-intro or something in the car, and I can hear that, like, after taking out the noise, it's not perfect, and I'll re-record it. But I used to not be that guy. I used to be, and I still am, like, I will listen as a fan. I will always forgive poor quality for content, because if you can make me laugh or make me smile, or I mean, if it's the purpose of the podcast, make me cry, whatever it is, like, if you can make me feel emotions or keep me interested in your show, like, that's winning. Like, I don't care if I hear a buzz or if
that's the hard
muffled
part,
because you have the phone 10 feet away or whatever it is.
Yeah, the creativity is what, when I find something that I like, it's because I think it's creative or interesting. And it, you know, it's not about the package. It's just, if I like it, I like it. And if it's interesting, it's interesting. And quality, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
That,
yeah. You know, I was going to say too, like, when we first started out, we had, you'll have to listen to it, because we had Bill's mom read our, you know, weird intro, and I took a recording off my kid's favorite, like, play radio to, you know, put over top of it. And I got a message from somebody, I'm not going to say who it was, because, you know, they have a fairly prominent show, and I was asking for some feedback because they had listened to an episode, and, you know, he was saying that, you know, he thought our intro was a little weak, and, you know, maybe it needed a little more spicing up, because that's the time that, you know, people really are going to decide whether or not they're going to listen to your show. And I thought that it was, you know, it was interesting feedback, and whether or not, you know, we were going to take it or leave it. But, you know, it's just like, okay, well, you know, maybe give it a shot, you know, give it 5 minutes and see if it's something that, you know, you want to listen to. If you know, if you like the voices, if you like what we talk about, then, you know, that's cool. And if not, then, you know, you can move on. That's all good. But yeah, like, if we can make somebody laugh and, you know, do something, like, we're not talking a lot of shit on people. We're just, you know, talking about silly things that we happen to see in our day-to-day life. And I don't know. And it, you know, just to get a little more sentimental, like, I really enjoy the time with Bill, you know, because this is something that, you know, we live like an hour and a half away from each other, so we don't get to see each other as often as I would prefer, but it's nice to be able to catch up on a week-to-week basis and just kind of talk about what's going on. And
yeah, we talk
usually
a lot more now.
We do. No, it's true. And usually we end up recording for probably like 45 minutes or so, but we usually end up talking for another 45 minutes on top of that, before and after, just about, you know, what's going on in our world. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, man. Same here.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on, Kev. Thanks for doing this with us.
Yeah. Thanks all around. If we can get some virtual high fives, let's do this. Come on, just group hug. Bring it in. Bring it in for the real deal.
I can't make a little hand show up in Zencastr, but you guys can totally high five each other by hitting raise hands.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't have that option, so I can just slap the screen. And
there you go.
Yeah. No, it's you know what, you guys have I think we would have been best friends if I grew up in your area or vice versa.
Yeah,
because
hell yeah.
Totally, like, when it comes to you know, podcasting and the reasons to do it and everything, like, that's quite literally almost everything I look for in a podcast, and it's rare because most people don't do that. Most people don't say, I just want to do a podcast to talk to my best friend. I've tried doing that. I have a best friend that moved down. We grew up we've known each other since second grade, and he moved down to DC. And I've tried to say, hey man, like, do you have an hour a week to just sit down and talk? Like we'll be away for us to talk, and B, like I'll record it, and like who cares if no one listens to it? It'll just be fun to have for like when we're old and we're sitting on a porch and we want to listen to it or whatever.
Yeah.
I love that mindset, and I'm so happy that like I honestly don't know the last time if ever, even in the 9 years I've been doing this, that I've talked to someone that has had that mindset about podcasting. So like,
yeah, that's great.
I really appreciate that from like, I guess a personal and a professional level. Like I could not be happier with talking to you guys tonight. Like let's bring the Love Fest in some more virtual hugs again. Like I love it. And if anything, like I'm just really happy that we're gonna go eat cheesesteaks together, whether we record it or not.
It'll be so good.
And like, yeah, definitely. Like, we do that. I mean, I want to come up to the Red Bank area and we go do stuff around there, whether it's seeing Kevin Smith's store or not. Like, I love that area. Like, in general, like I've been to like when we went for that casting call, for like, my buddy was doing the casting call. I just went with him because I wanted to go to Red Bank. That area is just so nice. Like I like walking around that area. So like, yeah, we definitely need to do more creative things together, whether it's, for on air or not. God, I love you. I love that you guys earned a 5-star review and friend out of me.
Thanks,
awesome.
man. This is awesome.
And I haven't even listened to the show yet. Like that's how confident I am in your show.
Maybe you shouldn't listen to it.
And you know what happens?
I don't want to disappoint.
Yeah, don't listen to it. Yeah. Well, you know what? No, and listen. I've listened to other podcasts and felt a way about them. Then I've interviewed people from those shows. And after interviewing them, like my opinion has totally turned around on the show. Like I've definitely listened to a show where I was like, oh God, I can't believe I have to listen to this show.
Right.
And then I ended up talking to the person and finding out the history of that show or whatever it is. And I turned into a fan because of that knowledge. Whether that's knowledge that the rest of the audience knows or not, I have no idea. And just like knowing what I know about Tattooed Bananas now, like it to me, it's a show that can't fail. that can't fail for me to listen to. Like it's even the bad ones. I like even the train wreck. I mean, our shows, my old podcast used to be hop on this train wreck and grab a couple of beers or whatever the intro used to be. Like we promoted the fact that we were a train wreck. So like I appreciate those shows, and knowing that your show comes from a place of just like two friends that have known each other for 30 years or whatever, that want to sit down and talk to one another. Like, I don't know about anyone else. Like we mentioned earlier, Reddit would hate your show, but to me, that's what sells your show. Like, it's two friends of 30 years getting together to talk, and knowing that there's conversations that happen around what we get to hear. I don't know. That makes it special. There's something special about that kind of podcast that I don't think gets enough love, in my opinion.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Well, I do appreciate that. And you know what? I think with with like the people that have become our fans that we talk to, like usually a lot of people on Twitter, that's what they have to say a lot too. They're like, I feel like I'm just sitting around, with friends that I've known a long time, and we're just, having a conversation. So, and I don't know if that's necessarily what we were going for, because we had no idea how we were going to format anything. Like I don't even know if we ended up even talking about anything. Like I haven't listened to the first episode in so long. I might want to go back and just check it out, because like, did we even say anything to each other before we hit record, Bill?
No, I think we were just kind of like, let's just talk about some stuff. Like at that point, I was just starting to put little like bullet points in a notepad.
Oh yeah.
And we would just talk, and it was just cool.
Yeah.
And
we just went for it.
Interesting.
No, and I, even if people out there that want to do a podcast, like if you don't know what you want to do, here's the success story. Like I did not find success in that for many years of doing a podcast. Like it took me going on someone else's show and being a contract co-host to have my own show that was popular. Popular is not the right word, that I had fun with and that I did. And like I'll admit, prior to Everything Is Awesome, there was an end game that I had in mind for all those shows, which is also the wrong way to go about podcasting. Like the way you guys kind of, that Bill said in the beginning of the show, where you guys just said, hey, we should do a podcast one day. And however long it took to get to that point, you eventually just did it. That's totally the way to go about it. And that's how I've gone about Everything Is Awesome. Is like, I just want I steal this line from Party of One now. Jeff Stormer, who hosts Party of One podcast, he said the reason he started his podcast was so that he could sit around and play tabletop RPG games. And I loved that line so much because that's exactly the feeling I have of why I started Everything Is Awesome, is that I started this show to have conversations with people. I obviously, you guys know, and my audience knows that I love to talk at this point. Like even though it's my show and it's supposed to be about you guys, I love to have, like, I love talking. Like my fiance hates me when she loves that I do this podcast because it gets me away from her for an hour to 2 hours. Because I'll literally, like, she'll say, I'll say something stupid, but I'll take like 3 or 4 sentences to say it. And she says, you could have said 2 words and we would have been done with this conversation. Right. So that's what Everything Is Awesome is for me. I've always said that, like, I'll have anyone on this show, like, as long as you can hold a conversation or be part of a conversation or have something, I don't know. I want to talk to people and I love that that's the basis of your show. Like you're doing the show I wanted to do 10 years ago, and I was never able to find a co-host willing to do it.
Oh man, yeah. We were like chosen for each other or something. I don't know. It's weird. I can't get away from him, and he can't get away from me.
No, and that's good. Like whether that is you have fans because of it or not, that's a great thing. Like and I have friends that are totally like that. They just aren't into the idea of podcasting.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
Like they'd rather just not talk on mic. And so it's cool that you both like are cool with the idea of doing it. And like the best thing about it is in 20, 30 years, when no one is listening to that podcast anymore, you guys still have it.
Right.
And you guys can always go back and reflect on it. I wish I had all the recordings from when I was a dopey teenager that I'm sure I recorded into like one of those, like whatever those small cassette tapes were, those dictation. Like I wish I had all that stuff.
Right.
Because there's so much cool shit, and probably not. It was probably all emo shit when I was a teenager. But all that, like, just a time capsule that I recorded that I let go, that no longer exists. Like, you guys have something special. I think I can't wait to like. That will be my drive tomorrow, is listening to one of your episodes on my way to work, because you've sold me hardcore on it.
Nice.
Thanks.
Oh, that's awesome.
I appreciate that. That's great.
So, all right, let's get some plugs out of the way. I know I'm getting tired. Bill was tired an hour ago, and Phineas, you sound like you don't sleep. You sound like you're always on.
Well, I do have the 16-month-old, so I'm usually up at...
Is that your first kid, only kid?
No, I have 2 daughters.
Oh.
One is 3.5, and this other one is a tiny tornado. Bill can attest to that.
Oh,
She's adorable, but she's tough, man. She's usually up at like 4 a.m, so some days I just stay up.
Oh,
So
yeah, I know. I remember those days.
Yep.
My 4.5-year-old son, and even my daughter, they after like 3 months, they were good with sleeping. My son has always been the more mellow of the two. My daughter is that tornado. So if your second daughter is a tornado now, good luck to you. I wish you luck. when she's. It's gonna be bad if she's like got a personality.
She does, and she's a tiny little redhead too. So she is fiery.
Oh yeah.
And you got two girls. Like, luckily, I have the one boy to kind of like. At least it's even in the house. It's two guys, two girls.
Nope.
It's not you. But it's it will all pay off in the end. You just have to.
Yeah.
You just have to endure like 18 years of like hiding. You have to hide for 18 years.
You're selling it, man. Keep it going. You're doing great.
Oh, God.
Ride this train to the end.
I love it's and maybe like you guys definitely are invited back anytime you want to be on the show. You have something to promote. You have to do another 50 state tour for whatever reason. Like
Sure.
And I love I found out just a couple minutes ago that you had kids. So when that happens, when I talk to a guest that has kids, it's usually a whole nother conversation. Sometimes it gets a little serious. It's weird.
Yeah.
But
I think we got serious in our own right in a nice sentimental way.
Yes,
So it worked
totally.
out pretty well.
Yes, totally. All right, guys. So first of all, before we get to plugs and I let you go officially, I want to. How many states have you hit on your 50-state tour of podcasting?
Well, including you now, we only have 45 more to go.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's not bad. I mean, it's
Moves.
really only been less than a month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so that's great. So so what states have you done? I'm curious for me.
Let's see. We did Texas,
Okay.
right, with Secret Transmission. Bill, I'm counting Illinois for Man
Yeah,
Afraid.
me too.
Yeah, we talked to this great guy Jed. I don't know if you've listened to the Man Afraid podcast,
No,
Kev.
His delivery.
It's
is
really
so
cool.
good.
Oh, it's awesome. It's like this great deadpan kind of style comedy. He does like a 2-spot for the episode where he talks about something that he's terrified to do, and then he goes out and does it, and then he talks about his reaction. And it same kind of thing, like the way that you've been, talking about, listening to us. He totally had me sold after the first episode. Just the way his delivery works, just the way he talks about everything. It's fantastic.
So what's that one called?
Man Afraid of Everything.
Man Afraid of Everything.
Yep.
I take notes during my interviews
Nice.
so that I can go back and listen.
And then we got Ohio for Random Chatterings.
In New York too.
And then in New York for Is Anyone There? And then we got Pennsylvania for you.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm glad that I got in there before any other Pennsylvania podcasts.
Yeah.
You got New York too. When we were in Asbury.
Oh yeah, that's true. We did, didn't we? Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, because we did the Super Live Adventure.
Yeah, with the guys from Staten Island.
So you
Yeah.
guys-
Well, I guess yeah, that's true. Yeah, Staten Island's like its own state, isn't it?
Yeah, so we got Staten Island then.
Yeah, that's
We
good.
still need Long Island, the Bronx,
Cape Cod,
Queens,
right? Newark,
Midtown.
Midtown, the subway.
Yeah,
You can divide New York up into its own states.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Any other podcasters listening that aren't from those 6 states or sections of New York, where can they get a hold of you if they want to book you to help complete your dream of 50 podcasts?
Probably the best way is Twitter. We're just at Tattooed Bananas. Bill and I do a good job of monitoring that. Bill takes care of the Instagram. He's fantastic with that.
Instagram, Snapchat, and then
Is that at Tattooed Bananas as well?
yep, all Tattooed Bananas. And then if you want to email us, it's tattooedbananaspodcast@gmail.com.
That's good because Bill took care of that. Usually it was Ink Bananas because apparently somebody else has Tattooed Bananas at Gmail locked up.
Oh.
Yep. So there is a lady that tattoos bananas.
Yeah, for real.
So,
Really?
oh yeah, yes.
Was that so? Did you find it hard to like do your show when there was like somebody else doing had that name for something else?
I think only because like when we Google search ourselves, we're not the first thing that pops up, so that hurts a little bit.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
stings deep.
It does. But
I
we'll jump her. We will. We'll get over that.
I'm not
bump.
even on. If you search everything is awesome, you know what shows up. the Lego
Oh, it's
movie.
right, exactly.
And then if you search Everything Is Awesome podcast, there's another Everything Is Awesome podcast called like Everything Is Awesome with whoever, who they don't do shows anymore. Like I last time I checked, they haven't done a show in a couple years.
Get them off of there.
So like, and me and my buddy were talking about it today. I was like, I think I have to invest money in SEO because like now that we're doing serious things, like we're like so. There's two big things that we have done or we are doing that I think make us more legitimate. Obviously, the podcast fest makes us a little bit more legitimate.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys are familiar with Aaron McGathy.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, Bill, I know the answer is no to you.
Oh, it sounds familiar.
No, he probably knows this
sounds
one.
familiar.
Erin McGathy, she is the. So I'll run down things that's her before the other things you may know her from. She's the host of this podcast called This Feels Terrible, and she also hosts this podcast with Wayne Fetterman called Human Conversation. She's a stand-up comedian, improver, and live performer. Where you probably know her from is she is now the ex-wife of Dan Harmon, the creator of Community.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, that's
she was
what-
on
yep.
Harmontown. She's on the new Harmon Quest D&D cartoon show that's on CISO. So you probably know, if the name sounds familiar, it's probably from Dan Harmon or
Okay.
I
one
saw
of his
the
podcasts.
movie or whatever about him.
Yeah. So she was on that.
Yeah.
She was a big part of that movie.
Yeah, that's why it sounds.
Look at that. Bill knows it and I don't. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Eat it,
impressive.
Phineas, you
Cool.
little butthead.
Well, so when I started doing this show, the major influence was Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman, which started off as like an interview show with people about Batman, obviously. And I took a lot of influence from that. I took a lot of influence from Aisha Tyler, who does Girl on Guy. She's one of my favorite people to listen to, and one of the factors of me doing this. And then after I started doing Everything Is Awesome, Erin McGathy started doing This Feels Terrible again. She took a break from it when she was married to Dan, and now that she got divorced, she started doing it again. That podcast is about like relationships and stuff, and that's that, and it's still a long form interview to a degree. Listening to the second incarnation of that, or maybe it's the third. I think she did one that was never a podcast, and then a podcast version, and now she's doing the podcast version again. I instantly like became a huge fan and admired what she did with her long form interview podcast, because it's something that I did, and I was lucky enough to reach out to her, and like episode 20, Irish Fairies, is my interview with Erin McGathy.
Oh, yeah. I saw that on the site today, and I was going to check that one out. But I'm like, no, let me listen to the newest one.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy that one with Erin McGathy. And for two reasons. A, it ended up being a really good interview. And while I was waiting for us to connect on Skype, I hit record. And I recorded myself basically like it's that scene in a movie where like someone's standing in front of a mirror giving themselves a pep talk.
Right.
I recorded that and I decided to air it. Like I only
That's great.
cut out a little bit of silence because it was really a lot of silence between the last thing I said and the next thing I said and or starting the show. So I cut out a little bit of the silence because it was just too much to like air. But I left just enough to show the awkwardness of that of the pep talk, really.
That's so good.
And so that I think that's why I like that episode so much, even more so than the fact that it was someone off my Git list, so those two things have it kind of made us more legitimate in my opinion, and I'm like, well, I guess I should care about if people search Everything Is Awesome and can find us or not. So
that's so good.
Yeah, it's something.
Did you hear back from her after the episode aired with your pep talk to yourself?
No, we've tweeted at each other we've tweeted at each other once or twice since then, and I'll always kind of like her stuff, and she'll like some of the stuff I do every now and then.
Yeah, flirting. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Hands down, talking to her, I discovered she's literally the female me. Like, we're the same age by a couple. Like, I think I'm older by a couple of months. We both like podcast and live performance for basically the same reason. I kind of discovered that I wanted to do improv like years after her, but other than that, like the same thing. We both like have this, and I didn't talk about this on the show. I discovered it after re-listening to it. Like, we both have this passion to do like a radio play and a podcast. And,
Nice.
like, so I was like, listen, I was like, man, we're literally, I'm the male version of Aaron McGathy. That's what this is. And like, she moved to Ireland, so that's my dream vacation. Like, I want to go to, like, so much in common. Like, I was in shock of how compatible we were as friends.
That's very cool, man.
So, and I right after the interview, I instantly said that she was my new BFF, to which she did reply to and said, totally. So as far as I'm concerned, we are best friends for life.
There you go.
awesome.
That's awesome.
But and you know what she helps me realize, because since then I've seen her, I swear we're going to end this show soon, guys.
What are you going to do?
I've seen her on Twitter say, hey, so-and-so, would you be willing to do my show? So she showed me that even like the people I admire, like they still have to like find ways to ask people. The fact that she simply said yes when I contacted her to do the show, like it literally could have devastated me, because she was one of the, like, I have two lists. I have people that I want to talk to and people I really want to talk to that are like celebrities. And she was one of those people that I really wanted to talk to. So I should not have been asking her first. There was a whole other list I should have practiced on,
Right.
so that I could have dealt with the rejection. So the fact that she said yes, like, that did a lot for me. And to me, like, any advice that I have to anyone out there even if you're not doing a podcast, like you're a reporter and you're trying to land an interview, just ask. Like, find a way to ask. And you know, you might get a no, you might not get a response. Like, the thing I don't appreciate is not getting a response. If you say no, that's great. Just tell me,
Right.
Just say it. And obviously the ones that say yes, like, that's just like, great. That's awesome. And like, it really has made, like, we're trying to get someone for the live show at the Philadelphia Podcast Fest who has not responded yet, but I went through Facebook instead of email. So I'm going to go through email and just to follow up. But yeah, I mean, it showed me to not be afraid. And that's my advice to podcasters or interviews. Just don't be afraid to ask somebody to be on your show.
No, man, that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, like, worst case scenario, they're not going to respond. Best case, they're going to say yes. Somewhere in the middle, they're going to say no, but they're going to use, like, I had one person say no so far, and they gave me a legitimate reason, and I said, okay, cool. If you know, you have time in the future, like, just let me know, like, and we'll make it happen. So yeah, just ask. That's the way I go about it now.
I like it. I mean, that's kind of where we're at with the whole 50 state tour thing. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are like, nah, we're doing our own thing. We don't want anybody else on here. But I think this worked out really well, man. I really enjoyed the conversation we had. This was very cool.
Yes. And this is one of those, like, there's a handful of episodes that I always point to as being like my favorite episodes, because they end up being like this, where, and I guess it helped that, like, really you guys didn't have lifelong dreams of being broadcasters or anything. But like, this ended up being a straight up 2-hour conversation that would be like your show, a conversation that you could hear in a bar. Everything we talked about is something that you could have heard, you know, sitting at Tattooed Moms or whatever bar is local to you in your state, or country, wherever you're listening from. So I thank you guys. Like, thank you so much for doing that. I know you guys kind of were asking for it, but thank you for doing the show, because I always enjoy someone that's willing to sit here for I mean, an hour, let alone 2 hours, to just talk about dopey shit, you know? I love it.
Thanks for having us on. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yes. And I'm hands down. I'm ready. Just let me know when you guys want to do the tour of Philly, for cheesesteaks, and I'm down. I will 100% do it, and we can record it as your show. We won't even make it Everything Is Awesome. Like, let your listeners listen to it, and mine, of course. Like, I'll tell them about it, and you better listen. Otherwise, you're no longer a super friend. You'll always be a super friend. Don't worry. Don't let those guys know. But you'll. Always
Oh
be
wait, Bill. Should we do shout outs to our Canadian super fans real quick?
We should do it, because you know their names better than I do.
Okay, so we have two Canadian superfans that we care deeply for. One is Judy Russell and Ashley Doust. They are
Molson drinkers.
two fans. Yep, Molson drinkers,
Love Molson.
maple syrup chuggers, all that good stuff. Yep, love Molson.
Yes, I think it.
So-
I think I love Canadians. Canada is my. I've been there, so it's I like going there. But it is like Ireland will be my first favorite place to ever go to when that eventually happens, and then Canada will move down to second. I love Canada. It's so nice up there, and the people
Yeah, it
are
is.
super nice.
But Junior.
And the women are
Oh,
so
yeah,
attractive.
Okay. And hopefully they come to this show and listen to your awesome interview here, and they become super friends and listen to this show. Thank you guys yet again for being on the show. Make sure you check out their show at Tattooed Bananas on Twitter. Where can they find the show to listen to and download it and have all that happy, good, fun times?
iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play.
Player FM.
Yeah, Player FM. We're on Podcast Radio Network.
Okay, yep.
Usually they air our episodes on Sunday nights at 7.
Eastern time.
I think is our is our little time slot at the
Very
moment.
cool.
And we're trying to jump those motherfuckers over at Secret Transmission. So come listen to us Sunday
Don't
nights.
listen to them.
No, they're on Monday
Unless you
nights.
like
Nobody wants to listen to
learning
them
about
Monday
stuff.
nights.
Who has time for that?
Nobody.
So there you go. Listen live. Well, not live, but listen at 7 p.m. on You say the URL. I don't want to mess it up.
Podcastradionetwork.net.
Listen to it there, and then honestly, also download it. I'm going to tell you this: listen to it there to help them there, but also get it from iTunes. I guess anywhere really, but for me, I'm a big iTunes guy. And
same.
while you're there, subscribe to the podcast. Even if you're going to listen to it on Sunday nights at 7, subscribe to it and get that download. And if you're a fan of the show, give it a rating. That helps a lot.
Give us a review. We'll read it on the show. Whatever.
We love doing that.
Yeah. And while you're there, I'm gonna hijack this plug. While you're there, Google Everything Is Awesome. We are, I think, the first or second show that will pop up under podcasts. And you subscribe to us, rate the show, review the show. This is what I say. Even if you hate the show, you can tell me how much you hate it. Just leave a 5-star review while you're doing it. I'll take the cheap ones too, and we will definitely read your reviews. We've read one during one of the podcasts that will be airing sometime in August, and we'll definitely read it. If you want to get a hold of this show, if you want to be on this show, email awesome@crudehumorstudios.com. Or you can just find this show on Twitter at RealAwesomePod, on Twitter.com, at Awesome Podcast on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter at HHWST. That's where I do most of my twatting. And that's about it for this show. We're going to wrap it. Thank you guys yet again. I'm definitely going to check out the show. I know I'm going to be a huge fan.
Nice.
And I can't wait for I love talking, so I can't wait to be on your show while we eat cheesesteaks. And I love eating cheesesteaks. So, it's like a match made in heaven right there. So it's going to happen. That we're going to tease it now. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. So for Everything Is Awesome, I'm Kev, and you've been listening to us right here on awesomepodcast.com.